Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. Today we're going to be looking at the M.A.K, M.A.K, multi-animal knife. This came to us from Northern Knives. It's made by Three Dog Knife. And what we'll do is roll in some photos here, we'll give you the specs, and then we'll show you what it looks like in use. Let's talk through some of the specs on the M.A.K here. First of all, M.A.K, multi-animal knife. The reason it was named that is because it was able to actually process through multiple animals up there in Alaska without having to be resharpened. And if you go over to northernknives.com and check out their custom knives and then go to the M.A.K, you can see more about that story. So that's why it's called the M.A.K, the multi-animal knife. When it comes to your steel choices, you can get it in M390, LMAX, N690, D2 tool steel, or CPM S30V. I got mine in D2 tool steel. You can also get two different types of grinds. You can get the convex grind or the Bushcraft Scandi grind. And as I'll mention in a moment, you can also get a variety of different sheath setups as well. Here's a look at the sheath. Very simple, basic, but it functions well. I like how deep the knife sits down in the sheath, you know, so really you have the tip of the knife coming all the way down to here, just this tiny bit of handle that's actually exposed. On the back side you can see, run your belt loop, or your belt through the loop there. And this is made by Diamond D Custom Work, and they are a leather working company, and they work up in Alaska there and partner up with Northern Knives and Three Dog Knife to bring you this sheath. You can also get this knife with a Kydex sheath that has a Blade Tech lock, but I wanted a more traditional look, so that's why I went with this one. Here's what it looks like in the sheath. So, you know, rides comfortably on my side based on the width of the loop and the width of my rigger's belt here. Again, I don't feel like we're gonna have a ton of movement. A little bit side to side, which is good. You know, if you bend your leg up, it won't, you know, stab you in the side, but we're not having a huge amount of shifting here because that loop is just about the same width as the rigger's belt. And then when you want to take it out, easy enough to deploy it and then put it back in like so. You got these holes here, the tubing. You can certainly put a lanyard through, you know, particularly the end one if you wanted to. I don't think I'll do that. I just don't think I need it for the knife, but that's what it looks like in the sheath. Now, because this is a custom knife, and you know, different knives when they are custom made, they're going to have little tweaks and little things that are different about them. They do when it comes to your overall length, blade, that type of information. They say, you know, about this length or about this weight. So let me give you the general rundown here. Your overall length is about 8.5 inches, blade length about 4 inches. Your weight is going to be between 6.2 ounces and 7.5 ounces. Your handle thickness 0.7 inches, and your steel thickness from 0.14 up to 0.2 inches. Now you can also get this in a variety of different colors when it comes to actually what the handle looks like. So, you know, there's going to be a wide variety, and your price point is going to be around $200, $220, depending on, you know, the different options you go with when you order the knife. Just to give you a sense here on the different colors when it comes to your handle, they have listed on the website for inventory right now: black, gray, olive drab, orange, pink, sage green, and tan. So, you know, depending on what they have available, depending on what they have made, you're going to be able to pick up the different colors. It did take me a little time to get my knives from them, but that's because they were making them. So once they were all put together and shipped out to me, I've been very impressed with them. So we've talked about the specs, you've seen some photos. Let's put this knife to use. What we're going to do now with the M.A.K is work on getting some very fine feathers off this stick and a couple other sticks. Making a feather stick is kind of a classic thing to do when you're testing out a knife, but oftentimes what people do is they make a feather stick, they, you know, hit it with some with a fire steel, and then they say, okay, it works, which is true. But I just want to show that if you get a feather stick going, get a lot of feathers off a couple different sticks, actually they can get you a nice size fire, so that if you do have moist wood, you can actually start putting some of those smaller, even wet sticks on it to dry them out. So I just want to show you here that it's not just, you know, just to get the fire started and then hopefully you have dry wood. Even if you have wet wood, if you have a couple good feather sticks going, you could certainly get that fire rocking and rolling enough to dry out the other wood and really get the fire ready for you to last a while. So got the M.A.K here. I'm using it without gloves at first, and we'll just start doing some little shavings here. I am using some very dead pine, and I'm using, it's a very large stick too. So as far as a feather stick, usually people use little twigs and stuff, but I just grabbed this because it was immediately accessible. And certainly pine is going to be good because it's a soft wood. It's got those resins in it. But you can see here, I mean, it's really certainly doing the job nicely. When you go up to this portion of the blade right here and press down, and I'm not actually locking my thumb in there, I'm just holding the thing, holding like this, not putting my thumb on the jimping. But when you actually press down up there, you're going to get even smaller little feathers here. And when you make a feather stick, every once in a while you're going to have pieces that, you know, pop off, or they fall off, not a big deal. There's no perfect feather stick. It's all about getting the right angle on it. So, and we'll do some other tests with this knife in a minute, but just want to show you as far as this work. It's definitely going to excel at this. I don't know if I'd call it, it's not detail work, but it's definitely finer work, as opposed to, you know, it's not a hefty chopper. It's not the Severance, that's for sure. Keep working on it. Now, one of the dangers is when you come around the side, if you slip, you can chop off all these nice little, you know, feathers that you've already made. So just be careful when you shift to a different angle. So from these little twigs sticking out all the way down to the bottom, this one's probably about, you know, 13 inches, 14 inches. So I got a lot more length to go down here. So there's a little bit of a nub here I'm gonna have to work around. But let's continue this process. Just make sure you can see the knife. This is certainly very dry on the outside. Trying to push those feathers all the way down. As far as the knife, very comfortable at this point. Don't feel any hot spots. Sometimes for me, for feather sticks, what I'll do is I'll lock it in to the ground into my chest, and then I'll actually use two hands to press down like so. I'm going to be careful because the tip of this knife is quite sharp. So definitely with gloves it'd be a little bit easier, safer, but we're good for now. Just got to do it nice and slow and be careful. The other advantage when you have a long stick like this for a feather stick is that you can flip it over and then work from this end. So there's some feathers on the second stick. Okay, here's some birch, and because you have all this bark on the outside, as you start to push it down, it's going to sort of feather, but just like this, it's just going to generally fall off. But if you can save that bark, there's lots of good oil in that, and so you can get some. That'll help with starting your fire. But birch is, again, a very soft wood, and this one you probably can see a little bit dark because it's slightly moist. I'm still able to get some good feathers here. I've shifted to using my mechanics gloves with the knife just to check it out, and I will say it is more comfortable, and that's true for, I feel like, 90% of the knives I use. Like once gloves are on, and it's a little bit easier to push hard, more aggressively. So just a heads up on that. One thing I do find with birch is that, I don't know what it is exactly about the wood, but it seems to make wider, flatter feathers than some other woods. So just something to note there. Coming onto the back side here. So there's a little bit more of a feather stick. And this is kind of more like a feather log, quite honestly. These are just really, and they're probably 1.5 inches across. So I'd usually use a smaller log, but just grab these just because I wanted to give it a shot. So that's definitely done some good work there. Made a couple other little feather sticks here with some smaller pines. So there's one, and then there's the other one. So you can see, I mean, you clump all that together and get a flame going, and then put these other 3 on. You're definitely gonna get some fire burning. Okay, so what we've got here is all the work done by the M.A.K. We've got some a very small amount of the feathers on this feather stick, and then we have a bunch back here. I actually made another one off a piece of pine I found. And then down over here, got just a handful of very small twigs. A bunch of those are actually damp. They didn't snap as much as they kind of bent and then broke off. And then I have some larger pieces of wood. Got my Survivor fire steel here, and we'll get this going. Add this one. Okay. 2. Put my knife away. There's 3. It's a little bit big, but we'll try it anyhow for right now. So I'm not just dumping them on there. I'm still kind of milking the fire, nursing the fire, I should say. And here. And the birch. And the birch is definitely damp. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah, I can hear it actually sizzling there. So we got some very oversized, you know, branches there, small logs there. But you can still see the feather sticks going, and then throw on some of these little logs. Just blowing that smoke out of the way so it's not blinding the camera. And there you go. And these little twigs I just put on are definitely sizzling. But basically, just by making, you know, 3 or 4 feather sticks, you really can get the fire going. So it's not just for, you know, getting that initial flame and then dumping a lot of wood onto it. 3 or 4 feather sticks will actually get you moving forward quite effectively for your fire. Now I'll put some of this wood on here. And I can see underneath here still the feather sticks are still going. So here's our fire after the initial feather sticks and then the little twigs and the slightly larger twigs. I really only added one more piece of wood. You can actually kind of see it's this blackish piece there. And this has been burning for about 2 minutes now, and usually I try to do a 3 to 5 minute test. But because the feather sticks are made out of pine and birch, and then I've got all that wood really right there in the fire, it's gonna catch pretty quickly. And you can probably hear it sizzling right there on the camera, popping, just because it is damp out. But you can see feather sticks good, not just for, you know, the initial flame, but also feeding that fire to get it going and rocking and rolling. Sitting out here in the New Hampshire woods, we're gonna get some rain soon. It looks like, sitting by my fire that I put together with some help from the M.A.K. Just proof that the fire is still going here. See that? So we're about 5 minutes in. Again, feather sticks great for a variety of different things when it comes to getting a fire started. As far as the M.A.K, I really like it. Again, I'm inclined toward a smaller to maybe medium size, you know, outdoor survival bushcraft knife, and this one definitely does the job. Comfortable in the hand, definitely more comfortable with gloves. It wasn't uncomfortable without them, but just nice to hold with gloves. The handle is contoured nicely. You do have this dip here, that little finger guard. See if you can see that. Probably a little bit better that way. The little finger guard. So you just got to be aware of that when you're holding it, particularly without gloves, because if you don't get your hand placed properly, you can really dig in with your finger there. But even without gloves, again, comfortable. I actually find my first finger and my, ring finger kind of fall into those two little spots where they got the tubing going through. First finger and pinky sometimes, first finger and ring finger mostly, but so I can use it pretty effectively. And it's handsome. I've just liked it. It's been good to use. The jimping I could do without. It's not a make or break thing for me. I could do without it, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, that's a little bit uncomfortable without your gloves on, but other than that, I do find it comfortable and nice to use. I guess in closing, what I would say is that if you took the M.A.K, the multi-animal knife, and added in something like the Severance in addition to the M.A.K, you've got a really good setup for a lot of things in the outdoors. You know, whether it's bushcrafting, wilderness survival, camping, hunting, even just working, you know, out in maybe the woods that you own, some property that you own. You got a really nice setup between those two things. This by itself isn't going to save the day. Or I guess it depends on the situation you're in. But I would be happy to have this as a knife that I was using regularly in the outdoors. And I like the fact a bunch of different colors for your handle, a bunch of different steels you can actually use for the knife. But that's it. The multi-animal knife sent to us from Northern Knives and made by 3 Dog Knife. So thanks for checking out the video. I'll put links down below. If you want to purchase these, you can head over to Northern Knives. And if you talk to them, let them know Everyday Tactical Vids sent you. Thanks as always for checking out our videos here on YouTube. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram and Tumblr as well. Take care.